Hi, this is Becky with Malvern Books, and we're thrilled to be here today with our annual Texas Poetry Calendar reading. So this is highlighting the wonderful poets that are part of the 2022 Texas Poetry Calendar. And I'm going to be handing this over to Tony Burnett, who is the editor, and he will talk more about everything that's going on with the wonderful Texas Poetry Calendar. Tony?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm glad you could make it. And I just want to let you know that the 2023 Texas Poetry Calendar is now accepting submissions via Submittable. Go on there and find us and let us have your poems for the next calendar. I just want to let you know that Rod Carlos Rodriguez of San Antonio will be the next guest editor. He's been around the Texas poetry scene for longer than I have, I know, and he's real excited to be starting it. Right now we have this calendar's guest editor, did an amazing job with this. Some of the people that he rounded up that I had never heard of, but I've made what will probably be a lifelong relationship with them because they're just incredible poets and incredible people. So please welcome Tate Lewis Carroll.
How's it going, everyone? First off, look at this thing. This thing is beautiful. Give yourselves a pat on the back or a round of applause or something. I had so much fun going through all the submissions for this and putting this together. I mean, we should be proud of what we put out there. Beautiful works by beautiful poets. I mean, what else is there to say besides I'm so happy with how this turned out, its usefulness as a project, and that for the conversations that I've had with some of you since, and just how great it has all turned out.
Well, thanks, Tate, and you did a wonderful job. And so we're going to go to our first reader. We're going to give each person's going to have about 3 minutes. If you'll just introduce yourself, say where you're from, and then read your poem, and we'll try to keep up with everybody. You're up.
This is Catherine Evelison. I live in Portland, Oregon, but I grew up in agricultural California. A ghazal is a Persian form with more rules than the English sonnet, but I was attracted to its musicality. A ghazal for the fields. History and time are on our side. Passion and rhyme are on our side. Facing El Jefe when fear is prime, resistance and rhyme are on our side. One day will strike and won't work for you. Our raps, so sublime, are on our side. When pale hands work the fields, they blister and peel. Muscle and grime are on our side. We'll dance through the night, make love until dawn. Mezcal and lime are on our side. Don't think we won't make jokes about you. Dramas and mimes are on our side. Dignity, pride, clean fields, fair pay. New paradigms are on our side. History, vowed Chavez, is on our side. Passion and time are on our side. Si se puede.
Thank you, Catherine. Next up, we have Corbett Buckley. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Corbett Buckley. I'm here in Richardson, Texas, which is just north of Dallas. If you don't know the area, but my poem is Watching the Sky. You can count the snows on 2 hands, one for every 4 years of watching the sky. From the sheet of dead gray that's pulled taut across the land's edge to the light dusting of cirrostratus snow, more carrying snow than my timberlands. The first snow was mere sheet that crusted the lawn down which I sailed on a baking tray, my 6-year-old hands rolled up in blue mittens ruddering, my course across a frozen landscape like a pre-industrial explorer. The blanket of ice vanished by midday, heavy enough only for reflection. Texas cannot hold its snow or speak its language, the odd aunt who shows up at weddings with her own ideas of pronouncing Bowie knife or pecan. When we get true snow, the kind that piles up against curbs, trunks, lighted reindeer on the lawn, the kind that refracts sorrow and light, the kind that holds sound against the earth, when that chilled wind gallops in from Abilene and whips dry flakes across the world like dust circling. In those times, in this family, we build. We make something of our icy fortune. We emerge into a biting, blinding world and sweat in our fleece-stuffed coats until new forms bloom, never to be seen. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Corbett. Next, we're going to jump temporarily over to March the 26th and listen to Milton Jordan. We're getting out of order for a little bit here, but he has somewhere he has to be later. So Milton, if you'll go ahead and it's yours.
Hi, my name is Milton Jordan. The name of my poet, just a moment. I got to get Tony's note off the screen. The name of my poem is You're Not From Around Here, Are You? And in East Texas, back beyond the pine curtain where I grew up, that phrase or that statement is as often an accusation as it is a question. You're not from around here, are you? 26 years among the short, flat vales of the Intermountain Northwest have washed out my once thick drawl and left me out of place in this pine forest where I grew up. Grandchildren of my grammar school teachers had their answer in their repeated question. Thank you.
Thank you, Milton. Milton just has a new book out, by the way. You might want to take a look at that. It's a beautifully done, handcrafted book. So why don't you mention that in a minute while I find the next person.
Callisto Gaia Press did it, and you can check at your local bookstore. I'd suggest Malvern Books in Austin if you're near enough to do it there.
Thanks, Milton. I'm not seeing Barry anywhere here, so I guess we'll move over to Lisa Toth-Salinas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Toth-Salinas, and I am a Houstonian, where we had quite a time of it last February. So I wrote my poem about our ice storm that many of you, I'm sure, remember very well. The title is Houstonians Prepare for a Week-Long Ice Storm. As though the delight of snow blanketing St. Augustine grass on a Monday morning in February comes only with the enchantment of catching snowflakes with mouths open, a memory of the mountains, a possible snowman in the driveway, but not a single string attached. As if the azaleas can be protected by the thin layer of an old Egyptian cotton sheet, the sense of personal security by the bits and pieces of advice one finds on the internet. It's risky to believe that the slick surface of a frozen dream can act as a solid foundation for anything good. Texans cooked canned beans on the backyard grill while standing in 6 inches of snow and slush. They keep their gaslit fireplaces burning as if that can warm a room chilled with worry. Leave the drip, drip, drip of faucets running as though that can save the day from bursting into mayhem. A lone case of bottled water in the pantry, their last hope to quench the thirst for well-being, brings small comfort to a family unexpectedly teetering on the brink of disaster, when tap water has gone foul. Icy roads prevent safe travel, and rolling blackouts have arrived on their street for an indefinite number of hours or days. Pipes freeze, then thaw. When a sudden waterfall gushes down from the second story onto couch and coffee table, all they can think to do is stand there, mouths open, frozen.
Well, that brings back memories. My wife and I spent many, many hours in the bathroom where the only heat was, playing board games.
It's a tough time.
We were more fortunate than most, I will say. Next up, please welcome Wendy Carlisle. And we'll unmute her, I think. Are you there, Wendy?
Yes, I just unmuted. I don't see myself, but that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we see you too.
Oh, good. Milton, I lived 23 years in East Texas, and coming from the hills, I was always not from around there. So I feel you. I'm Wendy Taylor Carlisle. I live in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, which is hard up on the Missouri border. And I belong to a workshop that has been operating for about 20 years. And one of the members is a woman who lives in New South Wales on the other side of the world. And she was having a hard time, so I wrote this for her. To Barbara in New South Wales. Articles everywhere are telling me how sad we must be, how lonely, how glum, how afraid. But aren't there still pink-eared ducks and red-tailed hawks and some days rain? And don't we still have each other? I am content in sending you much love from Texas across the world.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And thank you for being international. Next up, I want to introduce someone, but I also want to apologize to her. Susan Mardelay, is that how you say it?
It's
she has
actually
a beautiful-
it's Susan Mardell.
Mardell. Okay, thank you. She has a beautiful poem in here, but it's attributed to someone else. Her poem is called Relentless, and it's on February the 20th. So if you'd like to turn to there and read along, we'll let her read it for you.
All right. Give me a second here to get it where I can read it. I just goofed up, so if you can hold on just a second here.
Not great lighting, though.
All right. I have lost, oh, there it is. Okay. Relentless. Looking out at the late winter landscape, bleak trees reaching through a rare Texas mist, all appears dark and dead. Leafless trees reach bony black arms to a gray sky. Tired golden grass lays this way and that, a tangled mat in the bog. Gray sticks of last year's weeds punctuate the chaotic weave. Walking the hard concrete one step and another, careful not to slip on the mud sliming the path, a tiny blink of purple smiles up at me from the edge. A weed, that brave one that starts the vernal wildflower stampede. If I stop forward momentum for a moment and pause to look, really look closely, I see a 4mm exquisite orchid. I know from other Texas springs that it and its kin will create a haze of purple in the wild places. Mowed down as weeds, henbit doesn't care if we notice. It just continues to relentlessly create tiny, exquisite beauty.
Thank you. It's gorgeous. Very. I love it when the beautiful plants come out in the spring through concrete sidewalks. It's amazing that it happens every year. Next up, let's welcome Laura Feldman. She goes by L.A. Feldman, I think, or either that or we had a terrible typo in there. But
No, you have it right.
okay.
Hi, LA Fellman. I'm in Iowa City. My poem is about the Moonlight Towers. I saw a PBS special about power, and the Moonlight Towers had a segment in that episode, and that took me to the internet to learn more about these fascinating decommissioned power sources. So the Moonlight Tower accuses. Some Austinites say it was the buzzing, like hundreds of murder hornets in assembly, each mandible moving at once, reporting on the success of that day's slaughter. Other Austonians say it was the burning, carbon ash floating beyond a circle with a radius of 1,500 feet, never sure where, on what, or who it would catch. But I know the truth was the blinding light of 1,000 candles arcing over the streets, revealing every definite detail they wished to obfuscate.
I love those towers. They used to be in business when I first moved to Austin in the 70s. I am not seeing our next reader, Carson Gray, unless he's in there has some other, Carson, are you there? Then we'll move on to Joe Blanda. I do think I saw him here.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Can you see me?
I'm looking for you. Hang on. There you are.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Joe Blanda, and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm actually from Orange, Texas, and Southeast Texas. And my poem doesn't have a title. It's very short, too. My dog just ate a June bug, and here it is only April.
That's my favorite short poem.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So
One
much
more
fun.
time. I love that one.
John was the first guy here, and John Milkwright. He's been waiting. So let's hear from him. Hey, John.
Hey, everyone. My poem's on the next page from Joe's short June bug. My poem is based on a legend that I found on the internet, and you all can find it, and I just adopted from there. It's called Praise Song. Praise the Comanche girl. Praise her exit gone rogue. The girl robed in deerskin with blue jay feathers sneaks out of her teepee to blossom again in the northern greenery. She gathers ashes, then spins to allow the heaped white piles to make her blind, windowless. There are no longer deer. She sacrifices her corn-husk doll. Praise her strength to run for the heaviest swallow. Her hands dip from the goblet to the four winds. Praise prettiness. Every spring, landscape awakens more than her weight. Bluebonnets. The tea she leaves will blanket you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. It's amazing. I like those poems that have several meanings all tied up into one, and that's a beautiful poem. Next, let's welcome Katie. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. Katie Lewis or Huey. Am I anywhere close? There you are. I'm trying to unmute you.
Cade Huey is my name.
Kate. Okay, thank you.
And I am from Grand Prairie, Texas, which is right smack dab in the middle between Dallas and Fort Worth. And my poem is called On the Texas Bluebonnet Trail. Beneath a heavy overcast, the shade of my sorrow, an April rain pressed down the morning. hung gauzy shrouds over the view. As on winding back roads through a lonely countryside, I wandered like a pilgrim seeking the sacred, a vision to inspire, a truth to uplift, a reason to go on. Instead, nature slumped damply subdued, disappointingly dim in cloud gloom, until, at the top of a sudden rise, in a startling trick of the light, the hills blared out indigo neon, a shouting glow to contrast the iron-colored sky. In their brilliance and resilience against the thin rain, tiny flowers in their royal blue millions flung themselves in a stunning blanket from my feet to the horizon, flooding across fields and within my heart, their defiant voices commanding the day to brighten, the sky to turn blue once more, leaving a scar of unbearable beauty carved into my spirit like a benediction, filling my eyes with enough sapphire to bear me all the way home. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Next up on the list is Laura Guidry. She's opposite the May calendar. Is she here? I don't see.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay.
I don't see you.
Well, I might have moved myself when I wasn't supposed to. Let me see. Well.
What's your?
Let me just read.
There you are.
Okay. All right. Do I need to do anything else? Okay.
Nope. You're
All right,
good.
Thank you. Flirtation. A bold sliver of moon pulses above the pond, too new for reflection. Crescent ship sailing behind ink blot clouds, curve of bone, weaver of thready dreams. The great turtle on the rock stretches its neck to glimpse the night's tantalizing smile.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Next up is Stephen Sway. I hope I'm not butchering anybody's name. It's too bad. If you do, just yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I don't see him on here either. Stephen, are you there? Unmute yourself. Speak. Maybe not. Well, we'll move on to Michael Owens. I know he's here. I saw him here earlier. Or maybe. There he is. Nope, he disappeared. He's Michael. We can't hear you. There you are. Hello, Michael.
Hey. I'm Mike Owens from Cypress, Texas, near Houston. And this is has a little bit of an East Texas ring to it. It's called Porch Swing. Like an eagle disappearing into the horizon, spring fades to the husk of hell Texas calls summer. And as noon reaches high in the sky, everyone scatters, seeking relief. Looking out on a field of motionless green cotton, I lay on a wooden porch swing, a worn blanket rolled into a pillow for my head, feeling the breeze where there is none. Hours on end, grandfather pushes the porch swing, his big foot steady on the backless chair, flicking a timeless rhythm with his stories of the good old days. With a rhythm of bird migration, years pass, the swing remains, the foot is gone. Today, a spring breeze takes me back to that timeless place where a rocked swing drips with patience. Time comes and goes, and love shows in the time we spent together. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That's beautiful. Next up is Elizabeth LaCava. Again, my apologies if it didn't work out right. Let me break. There you are.
Yes, I'm right here.
Calm down.
Hello, my name is Elisabetta, and I'm originally from Italy, and I was raised in Venezuela, and now I live in Austin, Texas. And my poem is by the Greenbelt. And I'm always amazed that I ended up here, in Austin, living on the Greenbelt. And I spend a lot of time outdoors looking at stuff. And I can relate. By the Greenbelt, the cactus I planted is not from here, yet rooted in this soil, it makes life. Mature trunk, turn coarse, sprouts, grows top heavy, pods capsize. A lizard sleeps and holds the invisible, breathes dry ground. I am his sister, still, unbothered by this heat. We live at the edge of things, where civilized world meets woods.
Yes, yes, that's Austin for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for including me.
Sure, I'm glad you could make it. Next up, we have Beth Hunnicutt, and she's already unmuted, so come on down.
Thank you. My name is Beth Hunnicutt. I'm here from Denton, Texas, the top of the Golden Triangle between Dallas and Fort Worth. This poem is called You Tripped the Barbed Wire in the Chisos Mountains. You trip the barbed wire, searching for the right angles to perfect your photographs. I listened for bird calls. Hear flies churn air above lizard feet which dance across gypsum sand. We wait for our trail to turn toward an elusive pictograph, and we lose direction, happy to hike dry creek beds instead. Feet dangling from a perch beside the bank, sunlight approaching its apex, I point out our silhouettes. You say our shadows are always smiling, and you bend to help me untangle a feather caught in a sprig of wild tobosa. Thank you.
See it and feel it. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Robert Allen. And then we're gonna, I've noticed a couple of names here that I didn't get anybody back from, so we're gonna talk to them in a minute. But go ahead, Robert.
Hi, I'm Robert Allen. I live in San Antonio. And my poem is called Two Blue Jacks. The first days after Celia nearly destroyed our cabin at the coast, only homeowners were allowed a passage on the ferry to clean up and repair damages. A 9-foot storm surge had swamped the island. 180-mile-per-hour wind gusts had ripped the cover off our porch. The long outside wall of our living room was blown ajar. One end slipped to the ground. A bookcase plugged into the gaping hole. Rainwater puddles stood swimming pool size, and mosquitoes sounding like helicopters made me cringe. How my father knew to take his pair of blue house jacks, I cannot say. All day I helped him lift the broken wall onto those waiting jacks, then raise that wall up to the level of the floor and slide it off onto the deck where it came from. New screens for the windows, new walls and roof to enclose the porch, all that would come later. What was important now was that we have a reasonably comfortable place to sleep. 3 hurricanes inside 10 years, and each time Dad rebuilt. I see him still, wiping sweat with one hand, bugs with the other, hugging the side of that house back together in steaming sun. Thank you.
Tales of the Texas coast right there. Thank you, Robert. I notice Elena is here. And I don't honestly know, did you want to read? Because I didn't hear anything back from you, but let me try to unmute you here and see if you would like to do your poem. You there? Okay. Just listening in. Well, we'll move on then. Next up is Betsy Joseph. I saw her. She's here. She's a regular contributor. In fact, there she is. I need your unmuted.
Okay.
There you go.
There I am. Okay. Thank you for putting this together, getting
I
all
wouldn't say it's
these,
together.
for gathering us on this beautiful afternoon. I'm a Dallasite, and my poem is titled Postcard from College, 1939, and the subject is my father. Mom, you surely must wonder if Jerry and I made the trip from McCamey to Denton safely. I hope this postcard brings you some peace. Time still being hard, we were fortunate to catch rides pretty regularly with some gracious and interesting folks. The scenery is pretty here. Wish you could see it. Now I need to learn the campus and all the different buildings. A lot to take in for this McCamey boy. I trust you and Dad are well, and I want you to know I'm ever mindful of your parting words to remember where I came from and what I am made of. We'll ride again soon. Love, son.
Thank you. As always, incredible. Good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll hear from Carolyn Adams. I think she's unmuted.
Yeah.
Come on down, Carolyn.
Okay. Not quite sure how to do that, but there I am.
There you are.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm originally from Houston. We lived there forever, and we moved here to Beaverton, Oregon about 5 years ago. And my poem is called Waking to the Morning. It's morning on the Brazos. Reflections line the shore, the same wooden fingers that tap the sky in gentle recognition, reach from the river to test their reproduction. As if there's no difference between tree and water, air and earth. As if the slender margins there could easily be broken and all the borders of the world dissolved. Thanks.
Thank you. That's a very appropriate poem for the place it fell in the calendar, I think. I'm glad. Another amazing Tate Lewis Carroll addition to our calendar this year. Next up, please welcome Margie Rowe. Yes, there you are.
All right, so I'm unmuted.
You are ready to go.
All right. My name is Margie Rowe, and I live in Cedar Park, Texas right now, just outside of Austin. The poem, though, is about Fort Worth, Texas, where I grew up, so maybe that'll help. Now I recognize this light. Now I recognize this light and this wakened feeling. This was the light in which my father washed the car those September afternoons. I can almost hear the radio beside him, the faint sea sounds of the football fans, the sportcasters' chatter, the muffled boom and bang of the college band. This is summer sunlight now gone slantwise, staying southerly. And this is the feeling of slanting, sliding, and facing evening now earlier than before. Thank you.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Love that one.
Next up is Christine Wink Harrison. Is she here? Let's see her. But I don't have everybody's, all the numbers are not on here. Well, Christine, not here. Let's hear from Winston Jordan then. Or not. Okay. I can't tap dance on here, so actually I could, but you don't want to see it. Because only the top half is presentable. It's a meeting after all. And don't laugh, I know y'all are like that too. Okay, Jim Wilson. Jim Wilson. I had just communicated with him a little earlier today. Y'all did not give up on me, did you? It's maybe so. Well, let's see. How about Janet Ruth? I saw you. You're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Come on down.
Okay.
There you go. There you are. Ooh,
I'm on December 11, if anybody's watching and following through on the calendars. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of this. I live in Corrales, New Mexico, just north of Albuquerque, along the Rio Grande, before we send what's left of the Rio Grande down to you guys. And this poem is about that, in fact. It's called Milagros. We'll have to change my glasses. Milagros, milky highway of stars above, velvet terrestrial night below. City lights glitter like a rhinestone bracelet flung twisted at the feet of nearby mountains. A sinuous river of darkness, absence of lights, flows through the valley clad in robes of black-green cottonwoods, glittering obsidian water reflecting stars. In the night's crucible, the alchemist mixes molten ingredients, the rising sun, a down canyon breeze, a pinch of vanilla scent from bark of ponderosa pine, transforms lapis lazuli into gold. Beneath stars and sun, the Rio Grande curves its serpentine way south, sucking whatever liquid it can wrest from thirsty lands. Clear, thin liquor distilled in the heavens falls as desert tears. Red bleeds, lanced, drained crimson from the sangre de Cristos. Brown erodes, muddy and fertile from fields of beans and chiles. Sandy golden flecks suspended in runoff filter down through arroyos. A thick melange merges into rivers and acequias like wine transformed back into holy water. The river slows, meanders, wraps muddy jaws around fallen branch, abandoned barrel, wandering daydreams of an unwary observer, disappears with its baggage for a time beneath burning sand. Then, with a monsoon rumble, the great river reemerges, flows again, drags us all, tumbling, bobbing, thrashing, imagining murky miracles toward the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow, it says a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Next up is Cindy Heiser. She's another previous editor of the calendar and has been a calendar staple for a long time. Thanks for being here, Cindy. Go ahead.
Great to be here. Thank you. I'm in Austin, Texas, and my poem is on the very next page, the week that begins December 18th. It's called Anniversary Winter Solstice. Yesterday, the volunteers' leaves weather-vaned, green pennants anchored to chain link and laurel. Out my window, loop after loop of oxidized aluminum, a rusted rectangle wired in place, memory of a sign. The gate's padlock tight as the sob this morning that escaped my throat. Here's where the season bends, toward the pop-blossomed emptiness of husks. In the backyard, oak leaves shiver, a champagne toast to energy rooting against loss. Then they let go.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Was hoping for Chip Denver on, but I don't see him. He was here earlier. He wanted to go later. But right now we're going to listen to Gary Rosen.
Hello.
Gary?
I am here. Actually, it is Rosen.
Rosen, thank you.
And it may be like me that he was expecting it to be closer to 4:30 as opposed to 3:45.
No, he actually asked to be later in the thing.
Well, yeah, I expected to be later too, and I told my kids that probably it would be closer to 4:30.
Yeah, we're out of people.
But anyway, my poem, I'm Gary Rosen, I'm from Houston, and my poem is called Time Out. Imagine a boat. Sit, drift as the earth turns. See the stars appear. Feel the mist slip between, leaving only water lapping against the boat. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Gary. Is there anyone else that I've missed? I don't think so. We're going to have Tate read his poem, but there's a couple of things I want to mention before he starts. We publish books now. I mean, we've always done that, but we're doing 4 of them in the next 2 or 3 months. 2 of them are the winners of last year's Saguaro Poetry Prize. How to Identify Yourself with a Wound by Austinite K.B. Brookins. It's a very interesting book about identifying yourself. And then a Vermont woman named Renee Rossi, who used to actually be a Dallasite, and this is about motherhood and all its pluses and minuses. She goes fairly deep in there, and not just the motherhood of humans, but the Mother Earth to the ecology that we have. And they'll both be coming out in February. And then we have 2 collections of short fiction from the Acacia Prize. The winner, Impossible Naked Life, which is a collection of mostly flash fiction. There's some longer pieces in here. That's what it looks like. Cover art by Larry Crawford. We'll get to him in a minute. And then the runner-up was Unaccustomed to Grace. And if you like happy endings, this is the book for you. It's a beautiful book. And then speaking of Larry Crawford, who did a couple of covers for us, and a cover for the, he's a visual artist. This is some of his work. It's backwards, isn't it? Oh yeah, this is American. Anyway, he spent the last 20 or 30 years doing portraits of relatively famous people and famous people, including the Clintons and a lot of country music stars, and then people like, I don't know, there's all kinds of people in here. We've got Ricky Nelson, let's see, Kathy Rigby, Gloria Steinem's in here. It's a pretty eclectic group. And he's out of Houston. And we have a hardcover coffee table book. If you have any friends that really like pop culture, this is already on the market. Grab one, give me a holler. We're going to wrap up with Tate giving us the closing comments and then doing his final poem from the calendar.
First, what a treat to hear all these poems read in their original language. I felt very, very blessed to be chosen for this, to guest edit this project, but even more so to actually do the work and to read and put together all these poems. I learned so much about Texas. And so when Tony offered me this back cover to write a poem, I didn't feel like I could give enough homage to Texas itself because I've never lived in the state. So I figured I would homage to the calendar aspect of it. So this is just 4 haiku called the 4 seasons. Autumn. Windy morning. Harvested fields fill with litter. Winter. 10 degrees and sunny. To all these geese, Illinois is south. Spring. Sudden rain. Tree trunks darken. Lichen lightens. Summer. Summer dusk. A hawk moth's blue eye spots. Blind to the prairie. Thank you all for your reading so far and for this lovely, lovely project.
Thank you, Tate. We appreciate it. And we're going to do a lot of work together from this time on out.
Heck yeah, we are.
I appreciate everybody coming out tonight and being a part of this. And don't forget to get your poems in for the next issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Tony.
Right, appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Malvern. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Go back and get Malvern books.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, all.
I'll
Bye,
have some more
Becky.
copies over there Wednesday.
Bye.